Hi everyone, it's Bethany. Today I thought we would talk about something a little bit different from what we usually talk about, but still planner related. I wanted to talk about how I've used my desk size planner for trip planning. I haven't, if you've seen some of my videos from a while ago, I've done the setup video on this planner, but really I'm not using it for anything really except for this trip planning. And I've planned a very similar trip now 2 years in a row, one using a planner and one not. So I thought that I would talk about how this has been helpful. Okay, so obviously, as you can see with the little Mickey sticker, we are planning a trip to Disney, and we went to Disney last fall, and my husband won some tickets. And so that's why we're going back again this year. So 2 trips in a row, the same, very similar timing, very similar type trips. So what I wanted to show you, and there's nothing revolutionary, and I'm not really going into like how to plan a Disney trip in this video. That's not really my forte, but I did want to give you some ideas in case you have a trip coming up and didn't really think about making a section in a planner for it. So first of all, what I did, and you'll notice a lot of the front is I knew I wanted to keep this stuff in here, and before I even really started, I just decorated some pages to make them fun. When I think of, I guess, Mickey, I think of, the red and yellow and black kind of color scheme. So that's really all I did with some tape. I'm not a huge sticker characters type person, so this is my only sticker that I put. You could certainly make them very Disney themed if you wanted, by obviously using lots of stickers. And then I happen to have these red and yellow tabs. I think I got them at the dollar store. And I think they were even in a pack together. I don't even think these were two. So I think the red and yellow came together in a package. So that worked really well for my plan. So, really, a lot of what I have on these pages, like isn't really that important. This was just when I was coming up with, way back when we first started talking about this trip. I just started putting down ideas, but I wanted a place to corral them all. So that's why they started living in here. So this was just coming up with some, pricing, different dates and different times, and we weren't really sure whether it was going to be a short trip or a long trip or whatever. So that's really all this first page is just kind of coming up with options and keeping them all in one place. Next I have, this is a budget form. It's from limetreefruits.com. It's one of the member principles. Like you have to be a member, in order to access this. And so I printed this out just to keep track of all the things that you need to sort of account for. And I liked that I could also keep, some of them had specific due dates, so that helped to be able to keep track of those and just get that scary final total of, what are we looking at here? And also having the lines trying to jog your memory of all the things you might need to account for. Sometimes it's easy to think about the big things, excuse me, and forget about things like tips. We're going with the free dining package, but your tips on top of that can really add up when you just think, oh, tips isn't that big deal, but when they're putting, an automatic 18% onto your bill, it can really add up quickly. So that's that. Then I made a to-do list here, and I've just kind of been adding to it as things come and checking things off as things get done. This page over here is just some more, when we started looking bigger, I guess, at our trip. Originally, we were looking at a very short trip, a couple of days or something like that. So that was just coming up with some more pricing for that. Now, this section, I'm not sure if okay, this is labeled as itinerary. Excuse me. When I went last year, I wasn't using my planner like this one, and I wasn't using this book at all. And I had a little notebook though that I kept track, because I am a bit of a I'm not really the micro plan. Well, I'm kind of probably the micro planner. I'm not really big on like, I'm not a drill sergeant when we actually get to the park that, boom, 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 boom. But I like to have an idea of what we're going to do. Whether we actually end up following it specifically and precisely is not that big a deal. I just like to have a plan going in. And so last year in my notebook, I set up an itinerary like this. So it was just a little space for each day, listing what park, where we were eating, and what our must-do attractions are. And this worked really well in the planning part last year. And so I set up to do this again, but then I actually, as you notice, they're empty because I ended up doing actual calendar printables, again from limetreefruits.com. And so I haven't really used this, and I feel kind of sad because I have these pretty pages already for that stuff. But especially at this point, there's really, I don't think that there's a point, like I don't think I'm going to need these. I think that everything I have is over here, and so I don't know. I'm not ruling out the fact that I will go just to make them full and put some information in on them, but at this point I haven't. Okay, so I printed out this one. It worked out really, really well for us because of the timing of our trip. This is like half. So this printable has the entire year, and it goes January to June and then July to December, because all of our key dates that I needed to track, by the time I got to putting things in here, everything was July on. I just printed the 1/2 page. Again, did I say this is from Lime Tree Fruits? I think everything is from Lime Tree Fruits, pretty much. So if I forget to say where one of them is from, that you can probably assume that that's where it came from. So this was just an easy yearly overview to give me space to put in some key dates that I didn't want to forget. Now, this is going to be a little bit confusing because this is my weekly overview. Originally, if I can just kind of hide these pages in the middle. Originally, I was using this one and this one as my weekly overview, just to get a sense. Then, Rain over at Lime Tree Fruits came out with the vertical week, and I thought that would work better. It gives me space. These weren't great because the boxes are so small, they weren't great for kind of outlining an overall idea of our day, and I didn't really need this to-do list space. So, but I couldn't get rid of these because I'm using the front and the back of them. So I just stuck my actual weekly in the middle. So I'm using the weekly overview, and this is really to help me get a sense of things that might be missing. Do I have meals planned? Is there a meal that I'm missing? Do we have a lot of late nights in a row? Do we have a lot of early nights in a row? Where's our day off falling? Just to give me that sort of overview. And then I printed out, these are these are pages from the daily weekly combination that I was using in my personal, like in my daily planner, in the smaller size. These are the A5 desk size. And I printed them out most not to use as the weekly, normally you would cut this top part off and be able to see your week in behind. But I actually wanted the note space, so I've just left them as they are. And use this to map out the days a little bit more in depth and keep track of things like, what are our most important things that we want to make sure we hit. I did when I was doing my Fast Pass Plus plans. I did use this space up here to figure that all out. And like I said, it just helped me to plan. Now I was also using the Touring Plans website to actually come up with these times. So some of these are exactly time specific. I've got them in with times that may or may not be. This one I think actually looks like I did go through and put in the more time-based things. Not all of them. I've done that at this point. But it just gave me a chance to kind of write in the big things and, things like meals, and just to kind of see if the overall plan was going to work. So that's what I've done through there. And then, okay, that's just and then because I'm using the desk size, it makes it easier to print, to scale down things, I find, right? You can print things to a page, or you can print them booklet form or whatever and make full-size pages fit. So these were just a few touring plans that I found that I wanted to kind of hold on to and not have to try to find again. So I just printed them off half size and tucked them in here. This is actually the booklet. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it must have been. When you are on Disney's website, you can order a free planning CD, and this booklet comes with it. And I realized it's just slightly larger. As you can see, it sticks out. I guess if I do it this way, you can kind of see, right? It sticks out past, but it still fit. So I just punched it, and I was able to, now it's booklet form and whatever, it's not really designed to be like this, but I found that by alternating which way I look, so right now it's going top to bottom, and then when I flip it, now it goes top to bottom this way, but just by moving my book around, I was able to get it so that the pages are, at least this side and this side, facing the same direction. So that just was an easy way to get the park maps. You know, every once in a while when you're planning things, it's nice to be able to just look and see, oh, if I'm planning on going here and I'm planning on going there, or, you know, how far away are they? I don't want to be going here, there, up, back, over, you know, that kind of thing. So that was just an easy way to get maps. You could print them out, obviously, and put them in. I liked this also had a little bit of description about some of the things. So, okay. Then my next section is all about food. Depending on what your trip is, this may, you know, be important. It may not be important. If you were doing a trip where, you know, your food planning might be like groceries and, you know, that kind of thing, and planning your own meals, what you're going to be cooking would be, you know, helpful on a trip, so that you buy the right, you know, you have the right groceries and things like that on hand. I was planning dinner reservations. That's my kind of trip, is not having to cook my own food. So that's what these pages are just about, tracking that kind of stuff. So then we also, this was just trying to figure out whether the meal plan was worth it for us and things like that. So it was just doing some math. Okay, and then there's a bunch of just note pages and things like that. I punched some of this paper just because I got this paper as a gift and I absolutely loved it. And so just punched some to go in the middle. And then I have a couple more tabs. We're going to Universal Studios and to SeaWorld, so I made some tabs for those. And mostly what's back here. This I guess is one other thing that I was able to do because of this size. So these are actually full-size maps that you can print off, and I just folded them just, you know, not quite in half, right, so that I wouldn't cover the rings, which makes them stick out a tiny bit, but really, you know, like a negligible amount. And that's not too bad too, because I wanted them to be the tabs, so it's okay if they stick out a little bit further, because then it just makes the tabs stick out easier to see. So I just folded, those are all the maps for Universal. Again, some more of this paper to just put notes on. And again, using the binder was so helpful with this as opposed to the notebook, because I could just keep all my notes here and then move them around into the, you know, like back when I had that food stuff, right? I had those pages back there. These started out in here, but then I was able to move them into the sections that they belonged, or, you know, back with stuff that's kind of relevant. So, and then I guess the last thing that I have is, and I haven't started this yet, is our packing list. I like to make a packing list, not just so I won't forget anything, but I also like to take it with me so that I can make sure I bring everything home. I'm notorious, if I go anywhere to visit, I'm notorious for leaving something behind. And I know technically with a hotel room, it should be quite easy, right? You just look around and anything that doesn't belong to the hotel belongs to you, but it would never fail. I would miss a drawer, or, you know, not see something under the bed, or whatever the case may be, right? So I like to have this list, and I like to take it with me so that when I'm repacking at the end, I can, go through the list again and make sure that everything is coming home. And so this I'll start working on. So we're going in a little under, 2 months. So I'll start working on this fairly soon, just because I do like to let it kind of percolate and think about what we may need. And I like to overpack. But when you're paying for your bags on the plane and you want to have room for souvenirs, you got to kind of balance that, like making sure we have absolutely everything we could possibly need, plus, keeping it as light and as spacious. having space left as possible. So anyway, that is just an overview of how I'm using my my planner, or I guess an extra. This isn't in my daily. I mean, it'd be awesome if I had lots of space and I could keep this in my, you know, in my planner with everything else. But I'm also glad just that I have this extra space, and this size has worked well for a lot of these plans. I liked having the bigger spaces, the more room to write, especially for notes and doing math and, you know, that kind of stuff. And I don't lug this binder around with me, but I can. You know, there's times when I knew I would be doing some Disney planning, so I would make sure that I had this book in my bag with me. So if you have any questions or any of your own super fabulous traveling planning tips, please share them down below. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching. Bye.